Hi everybody, this is Liz with 143 Handmade. Welcome. So some of you might remember this. I was working on this last year. I put it aside because I had got to a place where all of this was stitched in and I was happy with all of that. But I had this area right here where it felt unfinished, and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to put there. And so I just put it aside for a while. And then I started making wonky houses for a quilt, and I was like, oh, that's what I needed. I needed some little buildings. And so I finished off this little area, adding some texture. And so now it's finished. I have sewn it to the background all along the bottom here. And up the side, I just used a running stitch on the bottom. I used cross stitches on the side, and I've started on the top. And it's just a super simple basic running stitch that I'm using here. And I've got a fairly small needle today, just because that was the needle that I had on hand that I could fit all 6 strands of the embroidery floss through. So, but I would recommend if you're using, or if you're going to be doing a lot of running stitch and you're going to be buying needles, buy some longer needles, because then you can really load up a fair amount of stitches, And it gets a little bunchy sometimes, and so you have to kind of work it. You got to be careful to always be pulling, towards this end of your thread, because I accidentally pulled it the other way a second ago, and that's why I got it more bunchy. I'm not loving how loose my upper fabric is. My topper here is on the scroll. I'm gonna have to play with that. I mean, I'm totally thrilled with this one. This scroll is the first scroll of its kind that I have made, and I love it. And I will definitely be making more of these. It was so much fun. Various sizes, themes, all that kind of stuff. So this, and it's kind of a snippet roll in a way, because this could totally be cut down and just be used in sections in a junk journal. Totally. That would totally work. And so, I feel like I'm creating something that's versatile. It's not just, it's kind of just a pretty for me. But my littles, as I call them, those my granddaughters, they came over, and I explored it with the younger one. She's 5, and she was love touching it, and she was telling me all about the butterflies and what they were doing, and it was so much fun. So this one's definitely, for us, but I will definitely be making more of these. And I really haven't done a lot of freeform slow stitching. Creativity in my house was encouraged when I was a kid, but in a weird way. My mom was very into like the kits, that give you the black and white like cross stitch kits where it's, every stitch is predetermined and you're just recreating somebody else's artistic vision essentially. And things of that nature. Open thinking, freeform thinking, that wasn't really her forte. And it wasn't about, she wasn't consciously trying to limit me in any way. It wasn't like that. It just was. It was just, she couldn't do it. She didn't enjoy the freeform stitching, that sort of stuff. And so it just didn't occur to her to, encourage me down that path or anything like that. So it took me a long time, I got, older, and as a teenager, as a little kid, I stitched a lot. We were always doing little cross stitch kits and things and like that. I can't even tell you how many Christmas ornaments I cross stitched as a kid, which was super fun. And my mom, it was great fun, hanging out together and doing that and whatnot. But as a teenager, there's a pullback from that. My parents got divorced, which caused, more issue. And so I really didn't stitch for a while. And then I got a little older and I had kids, and I wanted to stitch. I did cross stitch my daughter a birth certificate, you know. It's just a cross stitched piece that I made that has her little footprint on it. And then, you know, things got super busy and I didn't really stitch again for a long time. And then I found a book on crazy quilts. Foolproof Crazy Quilting by Jennifer something. Jennifer happens to also be my daughter's name. That's why I remember the first name on that book. But I don't remember her last name. But I found it at a secondhand shop, and because I homeschooled my kids, and so we went to a lot of used bookstores to get, and my daughter was a voracious reader. She still is, I think, to a certain degree, but I don't know. She's in her 20s now, and I'm not responsible for providing the books. And she reads a lot in digital format now. To where when the kids were little, well, our internet sucks, okay? It still sucks. And it keeps getting worse year after year at the seams. But we are in line for getting new fiber optic internet via our electric company, and that should improve things drastically. But anyways, as when they were little, you know, I really encouraged them to read books, not just digital format. And we did that some, but homeschooling and all, we did a lot of reading on screens anyways, and so I wanted to encourage the books. So we went to secondhand shops and looked at secondhand books probably once a month, you know, for a while there. But anyway, so I found this book, right? And so I started digging through and seeing what I had left, you know, because I still had some of my stuff from when I was a teenager and younger, and craft stuff that my mom had given me over the years and whatnot. And because it's not like I ever completely stopped. I just didn't do a lot. And so I started stitching again, but it was little kits and, you know, very formed, you know, predetermined things like that. And but then I found that book, and I started stitching again, and then, but not regularly, because again I was my mother's caregiver when she was older and she was sick. And you know, like right as my kids were getting to a point where they were old enough for me to start, you know, considering like going back to work or anything, something like that, creating this YouTube channel, you know, because I had plans. You know, don't we all, right? I had plans, and then, you know, my mom got sick, and that took over for a while. But since she has passed away, I have really found stitchery to be so therapeutic. It's very meditative. It's very, you know, I've done a lot of kits again, but that's just because that's what I'm used to. But I've really broke out of that mold and started doing this freeform stitching. This was inspired by Susan Hiles over at Susan Hiles Art. She did a Stamp and Sew open collab. And so some of these images that are on here are just my regular ink stamps, you know, my regular stamps that I use in paper crafting. And I, you know, I would stamp the image and then I stitched that image. That's what these are. These are the stamps. Those I didn't end up stitching in. I liked them too much the way they were, but all of these butterflies, or most of these butterflies, are stamps of a sort. I should have thought about that and pulled out the stamp so I could show you again, but here we are at this end. And see my upper cloth, you know, this doesn't quite go down as far as I would like it to, but see, we do need some to go around. See, I've got it folded where I want it to meet. So what I'm going to do is first take my Fabrifix to my cardboard here. And this is just a cardboard tube and some scrap tube plywood that my son cut for me. This is not an old fancy scroll or anything. And then I took some zippers, painted it, and took some zippers and decorated it. Sorry, my kitty was making a funny noise. So now I'm just gonna set this fold right there like that along that line of glue. And it doesn't really matter if it's exactly perfect, you know. Now that I think about it, I should have knocked the glue down like this first, because Fabrifix is good for not bleeding, but it's not foolproof. So, and this is just one thin piece of fabric, so there we go. I'll just put a little bit more glue. I'm not going to worry about gluing the whole thing, I don't think. You know, there's going to be a section back there that's not glued, but I think as long as this is glued, it'll be great. That will hold it nicely while I am doing the stitching, because the reason why I left it folded like that, I'm going to go ahead and roll this around, get that lined all up. There we go. Okay, so I've left that folded so that way I can tuck the edge of this pocket into that opening and then stitch along there. There we go. Now, do I want to just tie off the screen? I say I didn't tie off the green because the screen thread, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to, you know, work it back and then do that stitching with the green or not. But no, I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out for a second, out of my way, so I can just do a little knot here. Just by tucking up through the fabric once and then through itself, and then now I'm not going through the fabric so much as I am just trying to catch that loop again. And there we go. Got a good secure knot. And okay, way too big of scissors, but that's okay. Oversized scissors is better than undersized scissors, gotta say. Okay, so I'm just gonna couch my, or not couch, but you know, tack my needle in there so that way I don't lose it. And let's see, let's go ahead and lay that way. Tuck this in like so. And lay that down. There we go. Okay, now let's see, I have this thread. Excuse me, my voice is doing weird things today. I think I might be coming down with a cold, or my allergies are acting up or something. This is natural colored Americana quilting thread. And this is 100% glazed cotton, it says. This thread is it's too thick for my sewing machine. When I've tried to put it in there, it does very bad things. And so obviously I don't use it for that anymore, but it's been sitting around for the longest time. And it's a little stiff, you know, see how it really likes to keep its shape and just let it fall, and it you know, goes into the circle. But I guess it's because the coating, I really don't know. Honestly, is what I'm getting at here. I really don't know, but I love stitching. I don't know that much about the threads and whatnot, but I have rediscovered a love for hand stitching, and I am going to take you guys along for the ride, and am inviting you to join me as I re-explore hand stitching, rediscover hand stitching. Because, like I said, my grandma taught me when I was little, but I like the idea of just leaving the knot visible. You know, my mom and my grandma taught me stitching when I was little, but it was the very formal, clean stitching, not messy stitching. And so I'm very much embracing this whole messy stitching thing. I mean, these are teeny tiny stitches and quite neat over here on this edge. As I say, I'm embracing the messy stitching. But these are not just decorative. These are also functional stitches. So make sure you hold your piece however it's comfortable for you. I just, was not really thinking about it and holding it weirdly to the side. Okay, I'm going to zoom you guys down in here so you can get a better look at what I'm doing. There we go. I think that's a good spot. And, hold your piece however is comfortable for you. That's one of the things that was not embraced or taught to me as a child. Is there was a right way and a wrong way to hold your needle, to hold everything, to do it, and all of that. And there is a place for that kind of stitching. There is, and I'm not trying to, criticize anybody who loves that kind of precision and loves following the rules on that level. But I think that there's definitely a place in the world for messy art in a way that was, like I said, not really embraced when I was a kid. And so we are going to explore this together. And let's see, we've been working on a little palette shed off and on over the winter as weather's permitted. It's one of those things that we probably could have gone out and done it in a weekend if we had really put effort into it, but because we were just doing it a little bit here and a little bit there, it took a while. But it's done, and it's going to house our new, we bought one of those little cement mixers, not like the big truck or anything, but the little ones. Okay, now let's see, let me hold this up the way that I want it. Yep, and that stitch needs to come through here as well to get everything lined up the way I want it. There we go. And I'm doing kind of a little tiny back stitch, running stitch, kind of a combo, because I'm moving forward with each stitch, but I am going backwards too. And these layers are moving around quite a bit, so I'm not sure how well that's actually working. Turn it this way. That laid in there better. See, I knew it was going to be tricky doing this stitching right up here on the spool, but I guess it's just one of those things, right? Okay, now I'm just going to skip the back stitch part at this point and switch to just a running stitch because I think that'll be easier. And I'm trying to go right there into that fold and come out super close on the back as well. And this is just the initial, these are the functional stitches. And then I'm going to go back and do some decorative stitches as well, which will reinforce this. So this doesn't need to be, perfect. I guess it's kind of a basting stitch. Oh, I got in my own loop there. I don't want that. I'm gonna have to keep tucking that in because I don't use pins. And see, this is the problem with not using pins, and so I am actually going to, I don't have pins right here, but I do have this paper clip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide that over here, like so. I have another one. Just hold that on like that, and that'll keep it from, yeah, that's already holding it from moving quite a bit better than it was. Yeah, and this may not be the prettiest stitches in the world right here along this edge, but I can live with that. And I can always tack a piece of lace or something over it if it's really just that bad on the back or something, because I can see here on the front it's not being too bad. Let's go ahead and take a peek at the back. Okay, a little bit of a couple of loose stitches, but that's about it, and that's fine. I'm not worried about the loose stitches on a piece like this. So I hope that you guys join me on my slow stitch journey here. The I will, I've been making journals too. I have a whole big plan made, but I've also been making digitals. I've been really busy actually. Sometimes like I get so busy with everybody else's things, and then sometimes like it's kind of surprising to turn around and be busy with my own things. I mean, after having been, the mom and then the caregiver, I got used to, like I said, being busy with everybody else's things. And so it's kind of nice to be busy with my own things. So, let's see. Our pups, they're doing really good. They are just over 2 now. They turned 2 in December. And this is just the beginning of February, so... Oh. Came unthreaded. The cool thing about this thread is that it is quite easy to thread onto a needle with a small eye, which is nice. So... Yeah, I've been talking about doing a pets channel for a while now. There's, getting good video of pets is a lot harder than it seems like it should be. And then I had computer issues, and yeah. So, I'm trying to get everything ready to break ground, because like I said, we just got our cement mixer, so we're going to be starting to do some of the small concrete work. We're not going to be like doing a household, like we're not doing, massive project right away. But, so I should be able to start, I'm going to start putting out videos for excuse me, I'm not sure if I want to make it another channel, or if I just want to make it a weekly thing on this channel, or both, really. Of my, like, the gardening and the homesteading type stuff, because we're going to be getting pigs, and we've had pigs before. We've built a couple of different temporary pig pens and whatnot, and we're in the middle of building a permanent structure, but because see, the property that we're on has been in the family for a long time, but there's really not any buildings. So it's raw land, even though, like I said, it's been in the family for a while. And so, which, I mean, I'm so grateful for just the land, but it does, building needs to be done. So, thank you so much if you have hung on this long. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. I know that sometimes, we really enjoy these longer videos, and then sometimes people click off after just a minute. And so, thank you so much for those of you that hang on for the whole half hour, whatever, the whole length of the video. I really appreciate you guys so much, and every single minute we spend together. I am so, so grateful. So that is how I will go ahead and finish this up, and then you will see. So that I think that shows the concept enough, and I will, yeah, like I said, just finish that up. Add a couple more little decorative stitches along here. These are these functional stitches along here to secure it, and then. This is one of those things where I'll probably keep fiddling with it, like, every time I get it out. So I'm not, like, I'm done with it, but am I? So I would love to hear what you guys think of my butterfly story scroll. And let me see, here's the back. And I mean, it looks, super simple, super plain on the back, but I like that. Instead of all the messy stitching, that's still some of that, the way I was raised coming into it, isn't it? So, yeah, see, I think with how close these are to this edge, I am going to add some more stitching along that edge as well. But she is pretty much done. So the next step for her is a little pouch. I want to make a little pouch to put, so that way it slips it in. because we do have a ridiculous number of pets, and cat hair is just, it's ridiculous. It gets everywhere. So thank you so much. I will see you again soon.